everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. Yes, we'll be talking football. Not only that, we're planning to talk football next Tuesday night as well because we can't stop with the sport. It's not stopping. It's going 300 miles an hour like all of us. We got Steven in the house. We got Candy in the house. We got the Shanahan man in the house. We got Marvin. We got Ben, and we have, last but not least, Mel Farr Jr. You ready to talk some football? We have plenty of it tonight. So get ready for one wild ride. Now I'll even throw a non-sports topic in here about Norway. Oh my good. Why would I do that? Because I got to lighten everybody up with this one. So this one's going to be a doozy. But we're going to start off with the Florida Gators. Let's backtrack the story back to October. The Gators had the worst coach since World War II. The record at the time was 21-23 under Billy Napier. Get on Billy Napier. I only saw him lose to Miami Hurricanes. Big. But is the worst of the Gators coaching search through 44 games in the modern era. Well, guess what? He ended up, and that was since Tom Lee from 1940 to 1945, who had a 20-25 record. Move the clock up. I think Urban Meyer's the most delusional individual on the planet because what does he says? He says he thought Billy Napier's buyout would prevent him from getting fired from Florida. Urban, you are delusional. That's all there is to it, pal. Okay? And the reality is, as far as I'm concerned, that's why you haven't been hired since you left Jacksonville. Well, you know what? As it turns out, okay, Urban Meyer was so awful that he couldn't even last 1 year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Billy Napier ends up finishing 22-23, and he was a name to watch at Tulane for 3.5 seasons. And then on December 4th, he became a candidate for James Madison, known as Sunbelt Billy, for his success with the Louisiana. And he got hired. He was 40-12 with Louisiana. We'll bring it up to you, Stephen. This is where it all starts with Billy Napier, the worst coach in Florida history, but not bad in the Sunbelt. But I want your opinion on what you think of Urban Meyer.
Garbage.
I like that. Hashtag it. I got to put garbage on there. That's it. Okay. What else? What else?
That's all I can sit there and say. Listen, he couldn't make it a whole season down there in Jacksonville, and look where the Jaguars are today. I think they're in an infinitely better spot, both as a roster and a coaching staff. Obviously what they've been to the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. I know Ben's pretty hard on their Hollywood blonde they got there at quarterback, but they're in the playoffs this year. They're and looking a lot better. So getting the stench of Urban Meyer off them looks like all it really took.
Candy,
I have a hard time saying that a college coach that's won 3 national championships back in 6, 8, and 14, 3 Big Ten titles, 14, 17, and 18, 3 SEC East divisions, 2 Big Ten leader divisions, 3 Big Ten East divisions, that he's garbage. I mean, is he an NFL coach? No. But he's coached from 85 all the way to 18 in the college rankings. And then, yes, he tried to chat with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It did not work out well. But some coaches are meant for college. Some coaches are meant for NFL. My personal opinion. But, he should have stayed in college, I think.
Yeah, but let's talk about the overall job about Billy Napier. I want to make sure that all of this is taken. Billy did as good of a job as he could. I think he could have stayed another year, but everybody in Gatorland got a little bit restless. And we'll talk about the hire on a later date, but I wanted to focus on Urban Meyer and the way that Billy Napier left. So with that said, Candy, what are your thoughts on that?
Napier could have stayed longer, but they want results and they want that's what I'm going to say is they want results. And so he wasn't taking the program to where they thought he could. And so they wanted to move on.
Okay, Tommy.
Hey, it's really hard to win in the modern college football. I don't know what his transfer portal situation was like, but there are plenty of coaches were winners in lower divisions and transitioned to more success at the football bowl and playing just as many who failed. I got to think John Summerall is going to do a good job there. But people thought Billy Napier was too.
Yeah, I think John Summerall will do good. We'll talk about him at a later date too. Marvin?
Yeah, you can't put Billy Napier and Urban Meyer in the same conversation. Billy Napier, he did well at Louisiana. He was a good assistant coach under Saban. But at Florida, they have a standard. This was really established in the Spurrier days as a coach, just their dominance in the 90s. And then Urban Meyer came after that, and all he did was win. Urban Meyer is one of the most successful college coaches in the history of the game. In regards to his transition to the NFL ain't for everybody. It's a different animal just because of the caliber of men you're dealing with, and you have to adjust, and you have to be a certain caliber of man to lead that room. And he just didn't get it. I don't think he really was mature enough, crazy as that sounds, to deal with grown men at the professional level, and it showed. I mean, you heard all the reports of how he was treating players and just policies and things he was doing. It's one thing to be a maverick, to be different, to be original, but there's a culture, in coaching, and that culture needs to be maintained. And he just wasn't really doing it. So Urban's the man in regards to college football, recruiting players, coaching players, winning big games. I mean, he's the man. Wasn't from a personal standpoint, I think he rubs a lot of people wrong. People have a lot to say about the players he brought into Florida and just some of their off the field issues. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's paid to win games. That's really what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's just how I see it. It really blows my mind that at the college level he hasn't been rehired, or you don't hear his name a lot. I know he took a bashing in the media, but the bottom line is he wins. That's it. Like, to me, he wins. So yeah, with Napier, he couldn't meet the standard at Florida. I don't know if he's that caliber coach. I mean, obviously you get to the big time, you say you want that. You say you want those big jobs, but when you go for those big jobs, those schools have expectations. And for Napier, he just wasn't getting it done.
Well, here's my thing though, Marvin. I am going to put Napier and Meyer in the same sentence, okay? Because Meyer makes a prediction that they can't get rid of him because of buyout, and guess what? They did.
Yeah, but
in that sense, I will. I'm not, as far as in terms of winning and losses. Yeah, let's face the reality. Billy Napier had an opportunity in the Southeastern Conference. It's not good enough for everybody, but the reality is this: Urban Meyer, to me, is a guy that you're telling me that Florida can't, because of buyout, they're not going to get rid of him. Now I can't.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Scott, these schools are making, $200 million a year just in the athletic department. So it's not a matter of they couldn't. He just felt that they probably wouldn't. But man, listen, winning at these elite programs and these programs who've had elite status like Florida, I mean, it's real. The pressure is real. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not winning games, they're gonna find a way to get you out of there, and you see that everywhere.
Oh yeah, well there's no doubt that they've gone through a lot of coaches. I mean, the only two coaches that have won championships are Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. Otherwise, everybody that followed was in trouble. Dan Mullen was pretty good, and he made out pretty well anyways by going where he'd gone after that. All right, Ben, you're the Gator here. What's your take on Napier, and what's your take on Meyer and the whole situation there? And John Summerall's the topic. We'll talk about it at a later date.
I mean, Billy Napier, he went what? I'm looking at it right here, man. And what? I mean, you talk about 6-7, 5-7, 8-5, and 3-4. That's not gonna make it a bad SEC school, let alone an elite. You're not gonna keep your job with that. I will say this about Billy Napier. Billy Napier's problem was not recruiting. He did not want to relinquish play calling. He is not a good play caller. We have seen it. We've seen it in year 1, year 2. The outlier year was year 3 when he went 8-5, but then you kind of showed your true colors, when you went 3-4. As far as like the situation with Urban Meyer, I think Urban Meyer loves the perception of the fact that his name was always going to come up when people want to talk about him getting another coaching job in college. But let me tell you something about Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. Both of them were pre-NIL. They don't want nothing to do with the NIL era. They don't want nothing to do with it. And the reason why I know they don't know what to do, because when there is no NIL, whatever they say goes. I am the strongest voice in the room. I am the most powerful person on these campuses. But since the players are making $3 and $4 million, I can't control that anymore. And I will just say this about Urban Meyer. When it comes to college football, Urban Meyer is football royalty. When it comes to the NFL, Urban Meyer might be the worst coach in NFL history. And that is, and look, two things to be true. Johnny Manziel was the man at Texas A&M, right? He had the whole world saying Johnny Football with the money sign. He lasted 2 years in the league. So just because I was the man in one spot, and you said to Marvin, Urban Meyer thought because of what he did. Let me tell you the most egregious thing Urban Meyer did, and I hope this wasn't true. I really hope this wasn't true. Number 97 for the number 97 used to be Aaron Donald when he played for the Rams. They said that Urban Meyer came to the locker room. They came to the meeting room and said, "Who's 97 for the Rams?" And the players thought he was lying. Like, is this a joke? And he was dead serious. He was like, "Who's this 97 dude?" And they was like, "You don't know who Aaron Donald is?" And they said, "Is he pretty good?" They should have fired him right then. And they thought he was trolling. I mean, the fact that Urban Meyer literally kicked the kicker. He kicked him. Like, and the thing is, Chris Doyle, the tarnished, freaking strength coach from Iowa, nobody would hire him but Urban Meyer. And I'm sorry, I love Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is the homie, right? I played tight end. You brought Tim Tebow to play tight end? Tim Tebow didn't make it in the NFL as a QB. You gonna bring him into tight end? So it's just too many. Look, Billy Napier didn't make it. He got $20 million to leave. Marvin, Mel, we went about this football thing the wrong way, man. We were supposed to be coaches. Yeah. And the reason why is this. Let me tell you something. You know what type of fake tears I got to have when I'm getting $20 million to leave? I got to come to this press conference and go, "Yeah, man." My wife was like, "Come on, the plane is on the clip. I gotta go. Love y'all. I wish it worked out." But come on, man. You can only listen. You talk about a guy in Billy Napier that got $20 million to leave. Jimbo Fisher got $54 million. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to feel sorry for a head coach that got $20 million to not become the head coach of JMU and then to go on there and now he's going to hire an offensive coordinator. Let me tell you something. I don't believe in violence. But if I see Billy Napier, I'm going to make sure I go by the nearest CVS and Walgreens and I'm going to get the most baby powder I can get and I'm going to slap the hell out of Billy Napier. Now you want to get an OC? You want to get an OC at JMU? Come on. Listen, Billy, you living your life, man. You got 20. He's getting $20 million to leave. Where do I sign up for that? I want to sign up to do that. I'm just saying.
I like that. I'll tell you, Ben, it was worth waiting a week for you to get that out of your system. Let me tell you, that's why I opened it up with it, Ben. Okay, go ahead, Mel.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's really kind of hit on it. There's really not much left to say on this subject. Like Ben said, two things can be true. I mean, Urban Meyer can be a lousy person, but as far as a head football coach on the college level, like he said, he's royalty. I mean, he did great things in college. He's not an NFL coach. That same type of stuff that he did in college won't work with grown men, and it didn't work. And then, obviously there were some behaviors that he had that we didn't know about that reared their ugly heads once he got to the NFL. It's not a sometime deal. It's an all the time deal. You are always the head football coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, you can't be in a bar fondling women, getting a little, getting lit and all that kind of stuff and acting all kind of crazy because you represent more than just yourself. You're representing the Jacksonville Jaguars and everybody in that organization. So Urban Meyer left him no choice but to get rid of him. But that doesn't make him a bad college football coach. A lot of guys went to the NFL and didn't succeed. Steve Spurrier went to the NFL and it didn't work out for him. But he wanted to try his hand at it. He wanted to see if he could excel at that level. And then he came back to college and he went to South Carolina and stayed there for a long time and did a lot of great things. Billy Napier, he came into a very difficult situation. He's following two legends. That's very difficult to do. It's a very difficult situation to be in. He wanted the challenge. He accepted the challenge. And, it's a results-oriented business. They're paying him to do a job. They paid him for results. Those results never showed up. And so, they showed him the door and gave him a handsome check to walk away. Now, he's at JMU, and I'm sure he'll do great things down there where the pressure is not so high. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. I mean, Ben talks about, we chose the wrong profession. When I remember, when I was in college, coaches weren't making that kind of money, and their job security was a lot better than what it is right now. Guys got fired, but they weren't getting fired the way guys get fired now because of expectation. So it's a pressure cooker that these guys are in. You're at those big time programs, and everybody that writes a check feels that they have a say and has a say in whether or not you get to keep your job or not. And so it's tough, but that's the job that they signed up for. They knew it going in, and again, I'm not going to shed no tears for anybody that walks away with $20 million. I'm not going to do it. No way. I'm not going to feel sorry for him one bit, and I'm sure he doesn't want anyone to feel sorry for him either. He got the opportunity. He tried his hand at it. It didn't work. You just keep move on.
See, I'm not defending.
That was good stuff from all you guys. I wasn't warmed up for that Urban Meyer question. Let's not forget that when he was at Ohio State, he got suspended and eventually replaced because he was covering up for one of his assistant coaches who was beating up his wife. So you can't believe
he was related to somebody, wasn't he?
I'm sorry?
He was related to someone, the nephew or the grandson of someone that Urban had coached under.
Yeah, it might be, but either way, he was covering up for him.
Yeah, it was, but he was related to somebody. He was on the staff, wide receiver coach or something like that. Probably went to USC, probably one of the guys.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay. They love to be the police blotter.
Oh, come on, Mel. He's off of that. You got all day Saturday to that. I haven't completed that show. Cut him a little slack, would you? I know you're relentless when it comes to Marvin. You guys are the most unbelievable entertained. Hey, Tommy, one of these days, if you ever get a chance, and I'm not holding you anytime soon, you got to come on.
Is your name in the Jeffrey Epstein files, Marvin?
Get him out of there. No, I got to do a Marvin show to come up with that. Tommy, one of these days when you get time after the holidays, you have got to come on for a little bit of time to watch these two in action, brother. I mean, we do it early in the morning, so you don't have to worry about your wife saying you were on too late. We don't do it all that long compared to all these marathons. And Ben, don't worry, I'm drafting you as a guest too, pal.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. As a former college athlete, you reach out to Marvin and say, Marvin, I'm thinking about doing this show, man. I don't really do shows. This is with Mel. You talking about Mel that went to UCLA? Yeah, man, let's do it. When we do it, it's like. That kind, but it's a respect level, man. Because at the end of the day, if you'd have been like, if Mel would have went to Cal or Stanford or Fresno State, no, nothing against those schools, right? Nothing, but no. I mean, UCLA and SC, they respect each other. When from the South we go to USC, that's in Columbia. SC, that's where the Trojans at, and UCLA. Hey man, UCLA has the LeBron James of tight ends. His name is Mercedes Lewis. He's gonna retire when he's 50, but you're not gonna do anything about it.
Mel should have gone to Michigan State like other Brother Rice guys.
Yeah, but I didn't want to play in that AstroTurf, and I didn't want to play in the cold.
He didn't want to play for Nick. He didn't want to play for Nick Saban way back when Nick Saban. That's Nick Saban days.
It was George Perlis. Nick wasn't there yet.
Well, George wouldn't have been a bad guy to play for.
George was great.
The guy at the Sun Bowl. Yeah, I know. You just wanted to go to LA and the palm trees.
I didn't want to play in the cold, and I didn't want to play in that AstroTurf.
I get it. It's okay. We're not holding you. Hey, you make a career decision. You make a career decision. I get it. No big deal.
The AstroTurf is not like what they play on now. That stuff was like playing on concrete with a.
I know what it was.
Over the top.
Hey Mel, once upon a time, another lifetime
Ben,
ago.
you never played on AstroTurf, did you, Ben and Marvin? Did you guys ever play?
I played on back when they had a little bounce to it. Back when the Colts used to have the AstroTurf. When I first got to the league, they had the AstroTurf. They gave you little turf shoes or whatever, and you start realizing that not fast people are kind of fast, and real fast people are extremely fast. So we couldn't cover Marvin Harrison even when we went back to grass. I was like, he only fast because it's on AstroTurf, and then they went to grass, and he still burnt our DBs. be. So yeah, it was just one of those things that I had to, my time in the AFC South, I hate Peyton Manning. You know why? Because he's really, really good at football. And his head is like two people's head in one person's head. His head is like gigantic. I got a big head. And I looked at him and said, dude, your head big as hell. Jesus. So I got sick of Peyton. I had to deal with Peyton Manning and Dallas Clark and Reggie Wayne. And how are we going to beat them? Like, seriously. Do you hear that lineup? Come on, man.
We used to call people with big heads to get a helmet. We used to tell them they're getting the OJ.
No. Let me help you understand something, Mel. Mel, we don't got big heads. We got a lot on our mind. There's a difference, sir.
Understood.
All right, so Mel, all right, let's continue on here. I got a lot to get to, but boy, I knew this was going to be a lightning rod for sure. But and by the way, as far as AstroTurf, I know what it's about. I covered Lions games over at the Pontiac Silverdome, and I got news for you. Huh?
It's terrible.
Yeah, I know. And I went to the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, and they had the same thing. I had my knees drained later that week because I had fluid in them because I had my hiking boots got caught up on that stupid turf, and then I was at my orthopedic after that a few days later. I'm a writer, for God's sake. I'm not an athlete, but I still got busted up in the same place. Billy Jim got busted up. Go to show you, everybody. People, there we go. All right, so let's talk about the Michigan Wolverines, okay? One of Mel's favorite teams. Obviously, we know they fired Sharon Moore. I'm just going to list out 10 candidates. This is a fluid situation, and we don't have to spend all night on it. And some of them have already made decisions to do everything what we need to do. And I don't know who we lost and who we will lose and whatever the case may be. But abracadabra, alakazam, somebody will be back before it's all said and done. What's that?
We lost Steven.
Oh, Steven. Okay. Oh, that's okay. It's college. He probably has to take care of his mom anyways at this time. No big deal. All right, but at any rate, we'll talk about the candidates for the Michigan job. They're talking about Sharon Moore being fired. You know, John Harbaugh's name has been listed. Kalen DeBoer's been listed. Brian Kelly was on the preliminary list. Kalani State was on there. Jesse Minter's on there. Brian DeBoer, Jed Fish out of Washington. Jason Eck out of New Mexico has done a really good job out there. Lance Leipold of Kansas. Jake Dickert of Wake Forest. And my sleeper is actually going to be Kyle Whittingham out of the University of Utah, who actually was there 21 years. I think Kyle Dillingham to me is one of those guys who, to me, is just an unbelievable coach. Candy, I'm going to ask you just an idea. Give me your top two possibilities you think should get the Michigan job off this list. It's a fluid list.
I would say Leipold would be a smart hire. I don't know that they're smart enough to hire him, though.
And give me one more.
Give me some of the names again.
Yeah, no problem. I'll go out there. We started off with John Harbaugh. I don't think that'll ever happen. You know, another Harbaugh. Kalen DeBoer, that's out there. And he's obviously with Alabama. Brian Kelly, well, he's out there. And then we talked about Kalani State, BYU. Jesse Minter, former Harbaugh assistant there with the Chargers. And then Brian Dable, Jed Fish, Jason Eck, Lance Leipold. You already mentioned Jake Dickert. Of course, there's Kyle Whittingham. All right, give me one more.
The other one that was the former assistant that's out in LA now.
Jesse Minter. Okay. Yeah. All right, Ben, give me a couple. Maybe I'll even take three from you.
Listen. I hope to God they get Chip Kelly. Woo! I hope they get Chip Kelly so bad because I don't get it. I don't get this Chip Kelly stuff.
No, Brian.
Did you say Chip? I thought you said Chip Kelly.
I thought it said Brian, but it's Brian Kelly.
Oh, it's Brian Kelly.
Chip Kelly. I don't want to have a heart attack. I have to build yours and Marvin shows.
I will say this. Okay. I'll give you two. I mean, Brian Kelly is one. Coach DeBoer, I know he said he's going to stay in Alabama. I know that's what he said, but he's moving on because he beat Oklahoma. Until they sign a Michigan head coach, I think it's going to be Coach DeBoer because he wants to be at Alabama, but it's a different type of pressure in Tuscaloosa. He like, dude, this stuff is crazy. I think he's going to go to Michigan because Michigan's going to make him tell us no. And I think for Michigan, they want to be able to show it's something about a big brand that can snatch another coach from a current big brand. They want to do stuff like that. So I like Brian Kelly, but I think Coach DeBoer, until he's not the Michigan head coach, I think he's going to be a top candidate, him and Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I like those two. All right, Mel, what do you think?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it. And the fact that they haven't named a coach, and I think I read an article this week that they want to name a coach before the new year. I think by December 31st, I think
Right, by the
Warren
bowl
Manuel
game,
wants
correct.
to name a coach. Kalen DeBoer, I think probably, if they had lost that first game, maybe, it might have been a possibility. I don't know. I know he's coming out saying all the right stuff, saying that he's happy where he is. But they need to make a big hire here. And to be honest with you, I haven't thought much about it. I know they get coach from Arizona State, I believe. I think they just redid his contract and gave him a little bit more money, added some years onto it. I don't know where they go. I really don't. Sharon was probably not ready for that job when he got it. I think he got it probably on the recommendation of Jim Harbaugh, and the fact that he coached well during the time that Harbaugh served his suspensions. But honestly, I haven't thought much about it, and I really don't know where they go. I mean, I'm kind of at a loss as far as where they go.
On this list, I'm asking you to give me at least two choices off this list, and it could change when we talk about it again.
Even the people that are on the list, I haven't looked enough into it to be able to say, yeah, that's probably, it'd be a good hire. With Brian Kelly, would they hire Brian Kelly? Probably. I think his Midwestern roots probably work a little bit better up that way. As opposed to down there in Louisiana. So that would probably be a good fit. But I think just the way that things transpired and ended down in Louisiana, just at LSU, just may make it a little bit difficult to hire him right now, where he might need to sit out for a little bit before he gets hired at a big time program like that, like a Michigan. And the fact that he left Notre Dame for LSU, that might rub people the wrong way, and athletic director the wrong way. I mean, it would rub me the wrong way if I'm looking at hiring him. So but probably out of the list, he's probably the name that would, I would say is the most likely.
And give you one more.
Your list was long, and my memory is short.
Well, I'm long-winded.
Those two things don't work. Those two things don't go together well.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. You'll overcome it like you do everything else. You got Kalen DeBoer out there. You have Jesse Minter, Ryan Daboll. Jed Fish has done a good job at Washington.
I think Jesse Minter is interesting. He's been there before, right? He's coached at Michigan before.
Yeah, he was there with Harbaugh.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting. Name. So I would go with Kelly and Minter.
Okay, good enough. All right, Tommy.
Well, another name that surfaced recently is Jeff Brom in Louisville. But I will say this about two guys like Brom and DeBoer, who are great coaches. DeBoer, if I were DeBoer, I'd want to get out of Alabama because their fans are crazy. But I would say this about taking the Michigan job. Their athletic director is probably eventually going to get fired because they've had so many scandals in so many sports at that school. They have an interim president that has been there for quite a while. They haven't found a new president. And if you're a football coach, you don't want to have a new athletic director and a new president to work for. So that's not a good situation to go to. The other thing I'll say about, and this includes Jed Fish and Jesse Minter, is there's a guy who's a podcaster in Michigan named Tom Crawford, who's a huge Michigan fan, loves Michigan, but he's also honest. And he calls out Michigan when they deserve it. And he says Michigan needs to cleanse themselves of anything Harbaugh related.
Right.
So that would include Jed Fish. That would include Jesse Minter. That would include John Harbaugh. His name has surfaced since things are falling, not going well in Baltimore. So it's a mess there. The interim coach, Biff Poggi, has been around there for several years, and he's talking about how dysfunctional it was. Well, you were part of the coaching staff. And then there was a story in the Free Press today that was a very condemning story talking about how Sharon was losing control of the staff. He went into a rant and a rave back in February, yelling at Wink Martindale, very experienced coach, and he stormed out of the room. And the only person that followed him and went back to his office, the only person to follow him out of the room back to his office was his girlfriend, the one that eventually spilled the beans on him and got him fired and arrested.
Right. But of that list, who would be the two that you would lean on now? And obviously it could change.
I said Braum and DeBoer.
Okay.
But I said, boy, you got to be careful taking that job because they can get they can get into a bad situation with a new president and a different AD.
That's fair enough. Okay, Marvin.
A few minutes ago, I told you Urban Meyer was one of the greatest college coaches in the history of the sport, and he is. 21 years ago, he led unknown Utah to an undefeated season. Kyle Whittingham was his defensive coordinator, and Kyle Whittingham took over that program when Urban Meyer left. Utah is the no-name program that nobody wants to play. And I can tell you that firsthand because as a Trojan, we've played them over the last couple of years. And granted, we've had our wins, but boy, they've had games where they kicked our butts. Kyle Whittingham, to me, when I first heard his name a few weeks ago, I thought he is the guy they need. He knows how to build a tough team. He understands, what it is to go into someone's house and recruit, even though now we're dealing in the NIL era. But this guy understands that he understands football culture the way he needs to. And I know he's 66 years old, but Persignetti's 64. Okay. So with that said, I think that the guy that Michigan needs is Kyle Whittingham. Michigan is one of the premier jobs in the sport. I think they have the most wins in the history of the sport. And, this is a program that, is coming off of a national championship a couple of years ago. Outside of Kyle Whittingham, who I think is the guy they should get, I like Kalen DeBoer, but I believe just based on what I've been seeing that Kalen DeBoer, he likes this challenge. He wants the smoke at Alabama. I think he's turned on by the fact that he's coming after Saban, and I think he really wants to go down there. I don't see Kalen DeBoer going to Alabama and then bouncing out 2 years later. I don't think he has that in him. I don't think he's wrong for that if he were to do that. Because in any other industry, people do it every day. You know what I'm saying? But, I think Kalen DeBoer will be the second guy. I'll give you a third guy. I think that John Harbaugh would be great at Michigan. I do. I think, people are getting frustrated in Baltimore with him. He has a premier elite quarterback. They have a roster, and they're playing inconsistent football. But John Harbaugh understands football culture as well. So Harbaugh, DeBoer definitely, but Kyle Whittingham is the guy that would truly understand Michigan culture, Michigan history, and just know how to win in the trenches.
Yeah, all right.
You don't think Kalen DeBoer would bounce? He bounced those last couple jobs. He's only there for an overnight stay.
Well, no, he went from Washington to Alabama. He went up. He took a major step up. That's different. And he was at Washington for a couple of years, and he was successful there. I think he wants to have success at Alabama. I don't think he's there. He knew what it was when he walked in there. I think he has a great sense of awareness. Who doesn't understand the shadow of Nick Saban?
Let's be honest, though. These are unprecedented times. The jobs that have come up this year are just unbelievable. It's never been seen before. So you really can't say what anybody will do in these kind of times when the jobs are coming up right now.
No, man, that's different. Listen, Kalen DeBoer would have never leave to go to like UCLA. You know what I'm saying? But you talk about Alabama, you talk about Michigan. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? These are the kind of schools that command elite level coaches. Unlike a school like UCLA, who did I get?
We didn't want Kalen DeBoer. We couldn't afford
a junior college coach. That's why.
Yeah, we couldn't afford Kalen DeBoer.
You could afford. You could afford
responsible.
Laugh at y'all when he denies you, but seriously,
I guarantee you we'll be in the playoffs before SC gets in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is what we get to enjoy, everybody. Saturday morning, 8:00 a.m. on the South Florida Tribune Media Network.
You guys will be paying Lincoln to leave pretty soon.
No. We're gonna get after that championship.
Do you think everybody in the Big Ten is just going to stay the same, or are they going to get better next year?
I can't speak on anybody but these Trojans, and we're gonna get better.
There we go.
In UCLA, we're gonna get better too.
All right, save that for Saturday. All right, I got so many topics I have to get to, Mel. I know I love this. I love this Saturday stuff on Tuesday night. It just allows me to promote it way better. Okay, Ben, and I think Mel got your 2 cents in on this topic. I'll give you mine. Kyle Whittingham is an obvious choice because of what he's done at Utah, number one. But the guy that I like is actually Lance Leipold. And I'll tell you why I like Lance Leipold, because number one, this guy won 6 championships over at the University of Wisconsin Whitewater, and he's done a decent job over at Kansas. He'd be my dark horse. Whittingham, number one. Leipold would be number 2. Don't sell Lance Leipold short. He even turned the University of Buffalo around, for God's sake. The Buffalo Bulls, I think they call them. So this guy, if you can turn them around, you're doing good. I'm not talking about the Bills. I'm talking about the Bulls. That's what I am, of course, with some of the people. Even my buddy Scott Solin knows I'm a Bull. All you have to do is ask Marvin, and he's been on the he's watched me in action with this guy. So the Buffalo Bulls. So Lance Leipold's a guy I like. But if I were going to be a betting man on this one, I personally think Kyle Whittingham's the best one. He's available. He's looking for a job.
I played with Kyle Whittingham. I played with Kyle, and his dad coached us at the Rams, Fred Whittingham. His dad was a linebackers coach.
But he left, and he's available, and he ran a program for 21 years going behind Urban Meyer. I mean, if Michigan doesn't bring him in, they're delusional. That's an automatic.
I think his name has to be on the list. You at least have to call him. I think. I mean, whether or not he'd say yes or no.
Yeah, no question about it. You got to call Kyle. The guy's available. You don't have to poach him anywhere. He's there. Give him a call. Ward Manuel, although you'll be there anyway, but that's beside the point. We brought that up. Great stuff. I love this topic. So you know what? I loved it so much. Hang in there, Stephen. We'll get to pro stuff. I love the fact that you can just watch this stuff here anyway and watch us all go at it. Because I'll tell you, Stephen Reichel is my brother from another mother, and all he does is do some of the dirty work during the day. Give everybody, Stephen Reichel, a standing ovation here on this program. I want claps for this guy. All right, there you go. There you go. All right, Stephen. So don't clap on this topic because you probably don't know anything about this one either, but we got to talk about domination in college football. And we're going to talk about Ferris State, which dominated this season, won back-to-back national championships, and a riding a 30-game winning streak, plus 538 points is what their point differential is. 118 total touchdowns in 16 games, an average score of 53-19, 520 yards per game, 42 takeaways, and 12. And you have obviously 12.61 per game, obviously. And when you look at 16-0 and back-to-back national championships, I'll tell you what, let's hand it to Ferris State. Steven, you want to say anything? You want to defer? That's up to you. All right, good. All right, good stuff. I like nonverbal behavior like that. Don't worry, Steve. We'll give you a well. I appreciate you, Earl Kinsey. You are the BEST and go 48-point. Candy, some thoughts about the domination of Fresno State.
Fresno State.
Ferris State.
I thought you said Ferris State, Scott.
I thought I said Ferris State. That's okay. It's Ferris State, people. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm having such a big day between Toastmasters and this. And it is Ferris State, people. I'm in the wrong time zone, but it's Ferris State. They are dominant, 12.61 takeaways a game. My gosh, whatever those numbers are.
They've won
2.61 games.
4 Division II National Football Championships, 21, 22, 24, and 25. And the 2018 team also advanced to the Division II National Championship, losing by 2 points to Valdosta State. In 13 seasons under head coach Tony Annese, the Bulldogs have compiled 153-21 record and have been ranked among the top 10 Division II teams every year since 2015. Man, that doesn't speak a lot volumes about your coach and the job he's doing. Excellent. I mean, if I were one of your Division I schools, I'd be looking at this coach and saying, why not try him out? But he is at Ferris State. The first season that Ferris State played, do you know when it was, Scott?
Go ahead, Candy.
1900, 125 years ago. And they play in Big Rapids, Michigan at Top Taggart Field, which only has a stadium capacity of 6,200.
What do you think, Tommy? Hey, I'm giving you college football, but we're talking Ferris State, Big Rapids, buddy.
Ferris State is in my hometown, Big Rapids. I could go on and on about this one. When I was a kid, the great player was Willie Boyer, who got a shot with the Cincinnati Bengals. He was also a NAIE track champion. They were NAIA at the time. But Tony Anesi has the coach. He's got a record of turning out not only winning teams, but NFL players. One of the Dolphins' best defensive players is from Ferris State. He recently signed a big contract. We all know about Trinidad Chambliss transferred from Ferris after he won the NCAA Division II title last year to Ole Miss. 2 other players from last year's team transferred to higher level schools. Lawrence Hatter is a Michigan offensive lineman. Sefa Safala is at Western Michigan. So he's Tony Anesi knows how to develop, not only identify players, but develop them. But I'm going to give you some real Ferris State history here. Ferris was founded by a guy named Woodbridge Ferris. And when he read Booker T. Washington's book, Up From Slavery, he was so inspired. He set up this program where students came from Hampton in Virginia. And they were educated at Ferris, and then they moved on to 4-year schools. One of those dozen students that he sponsored to bring up was a guy named Gideon Smith, who just happened to be this great athlete. Gideon played 2 years at Ferris, then he transferred to Michigan State. At the time, Michigan State was a minor program. They weren't a Big Ten program. Gideon Smith led Michigan State to its first win over Michigan. This is 1913. And then he beat them again in 1915. And remember, Michigan was a national power back in those days. So Gideon Smith, as Michael Oriard, the author and former Kansas City Chief and Notre Dame player, Oregon State professor, says, was in many ways, since he played at Michigan State in 1913 to 1915. And all of this is in my book, Ray of Light and the Right Thing to Do. All this history about Ferris State and Michigan State leading college football integration. Michael Oriard said in many ways, Gideon Smith was the original Underground Railroad passenger since he came from Hampton, Virginia. And Mel, I don't like to pick on you like Mel or Marvin. I don't like to pick on you the way Mel does. But I'm going to point this out to you. What I just told you about Michael Oriard, in many ways, Michigan State was a leader going back to Gideon Smith. At USC, when they make up stories, they pose this guy named Bryce Taylor, who was an All-American in 1925, black player, as an example that USC was progressive. Well, USC didn't have any more black players until the 1950s. And they didn't even list Bryce Taylor in their media guide until the Los Angeles Sentinel exposed it. And that's the true USC until the 1970s. So Ferris State, Michigan State, my hometown, my college, Gideon Smith overlaps them both. I'm proud of the history, and I'm proud I had a chance to write about him in both of my books, The Right Thing to Do and Ray of Light.
There you go. Glad you got that plug in. By the way, with that 42 takeaway stats, they're averaging 2.6 a game. Just want to get that straight, Tommy. Glad you plugged your books, and I gave you the right time. So I'm sure you had to love it when I threw that Ferris State topic in today, didn't you? Because that gave you an open opportunity. Glad it worked out. All right, Marvin, you had a chance to take it all in. Ferris State, king of Division II, and they got some streak going, and they got a lot of numbers to back what they're doing. I know Ben's salivating at this. And by the way, thank you very much for the kind of words, Earl Kinsey. You are, as Jimmy Walker would say, dynamite. All right, there you go. All right, anyway, good times, just so you know. All right, good times here on the show. Also, we'll go to a station break a little while right now. We're just getting rolling with some of the heavy hitting topics. Stephen Reichel doing an incredible job observing. Learning a little bit about college football before I graduate to the pro. Marvin, some thoughts about Ferris State.
Yeah, let me stand on business first. Tom, you take any more shots in my school, I'm gonna put you on the Mel Farr Jr. list. Okay, you don't want that smoke. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You don't want that smoke.
He was just stating facts, Marvin. He was just stating facts. He was stating facts.
Listen, if you look at some of the best players in high school football, see where all the talent comes from. We're talking about California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana. That's really where they're coming from, right? You look at Ferris State's roster, half of their team is from California or Florida. All right. Additionally, you have to think that a program like that has had success in this transfer portal era, where these players are being, I'm going to say kicked out of the school, but, when these schools are now doing evaluations and telling players, hey, you might not, have a spot here next year. You might not. These players are bouncing down. You know what I'm saying? And I would bet you on their roster, they have quite a few players that come from, G5, G4, these bigger schools. So listen, you get a program that has some history. You get a chance to get some elite talent from some of these bigger schools. You're going to have that kind of success. And this is where you see the transfer portal not only benefiting the big teams, the big schools, but the small schools too.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible story there, Ben. And I'm sure you have to love these stories when you talk about a Ferris State Division II hidden gem. You can only imagine how many pro spots that are going to come out of that.
I know Ferris State. Ferris State owes everything they got to Valdosta State. They said that Ferris State has 4 natives in D2. Who are they tied with? Valdosta State. When they lost the national championship in 2018, who they lost to? Valdosta State. So look, I'm happy that Ferris State is doing it, Tom, but Valdosta State been here now. They've been here a long time, and you know it. So when I said Ferris State, I said, what have I known that name before? Oh yeah. So when people get it, and Marv just said it. One of the most talent-rich states is Georgia, and I would say Georgia got more talent than Florida because Georgia is half the size of Florida. So per capita, Georgia got more high school talent than because they got 22 million. We got 11 million anyway. When I saw this Ferris State topic, I said we will not. The same way, Marv just told you no slander. There will be no Valdosta State slander on here. Valdosta State got 4. They just been there. They did it with Coach Dean and Coach Hatcher and Kerwin Bell. They did it with different coaches. Love what Ferris State is doing, but Valdosta State trophies got they got cobwebs on them because they've been there that long. They've been there a long time. But I love what Ferris State is doing. I ain't taking nothing away from them. But Ferris State, they'll go, hey man, coach, tell us about Valdosta State. He gonna sit back in the chair like, oh yeah, man. If people talk about the air raid. If people want to know what the air raid really, go to Valdosta State. Nobody does 4 wide and 5 wide like Valdosta State. But I ain't trying to take Ferris State. I'm not trying to take their shine. I'm just saying when it comes to D2, they call Valdosta State Title Town. They call it that for a reason. I didn't call it that. That's what they got a documentary on it from Valdosta High School to Lowndes High School, and that's LOWDNES, not LYONS, from right beside Vidalia. That's home with a sweet onion. That's where my dad is from. He's from Vidalia, Georgia. So what I'm saying is, I know that Marv told you they from Texas. I mean, they from California, they from Florida, but at Valdosta, they just from Georgia. You know what I'm saying? They just pluck them right out of these little small towns. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, Florida just hired Coach Falk. He was the offensive coordinator of the year. Where is he from? He's from Georgia. What college did he go to? Valdosta State. I'm telling y'all don't want to do this D2 stuff. You don't want it because everybody want to talk about what Ferris State is doing. Look, listen. There was a rapper that said, I ain't new to this, I'm true to this. Valdosta, they true to this, baby. They got their feet up. They be sitting back in their chair like Marv. Marv got like a recliner chair right there. They sitting back. So Ferris State, enjoy it. Congratulations. But when I looked it up, it said they are tied for second most D2 championships with 4. Who they tied with? They tied with Valdosta State. So all I'm saying is everybody, look, the biggest brand in the state of Georgia is UGA. It's University of Georgia. The best brand of football, it's in Valdosta. You don't got to like it. I'm going to tell you something else controversial, even though this ain't got nothing to do with it. The best college running back to ever play in the state of Georgia is not Herschel Walker. It is not Herschel. It is Adrian Peterson that went to Georgia Southern. If you don't believe me, check the stats. If you don't think Adrian Peterson was the best college running back to ever set foot in Georgia, check the stats. That's all I'm going to say. Went to Georgia Southern because he had a speech impediment.
Where
Well,
do
I'm
you
just
the
go?
telling
bottom
y'all.
line is, well, Penn, you know what you just
Where do you
proved
play?
to me?
Chicago?
He played in Chicago for 10 years. He is the younger brother of Mike Peterson, who played linebacker for like 15 years. Adrian Peterson, not the one from Oklahoma. We get that. We get him. The original Adrian Peterson went to Georgia Southern, and just type in Adrian Peterson playoff stats. Just type in playoff stats. He went over a band in the playoffs. Well, I'm just telling y'all, because he Georgia always had to throw it in everybody. And I'm just telling you. So Fair State, congratulations. Congratulations. But when they got invited to the party, Valdosta State was already at the table saying, man, welcome, man. Wait a minute, man. Why your boat, why your yacht, you know what I'm saying, making all this noise? Oh, because we've been had this yacht. We've been out here on this water. We've been sailing for years, baby. This is what we do. So love Ferris, but Valdosta State, they've been doing it, man. I'm just telling y'all, D2, they don't got the most D2 championships, Miss Candy. They don't got the most. They tied for the second. They tied. And they did it with different coaches.
Well, I learned about you tonight. You're the best promoter that Valdosta State's ever had.
I'm just saying they most. I want to say their most recent national championship. The head coach was Curran Bell. Where did Curran Bell play quarterback at Florida? Look. I am not a college football historian. I don't act like I am. Tom, I respect everything you bring to the table. You talking about history, when you talk about history when it comes to college football. But there will be no D2. If we talking D2 and we ain't talking Valdosta State, this ain't a real conversation. No, it ain't. I'm just telling you.
Not in your eyes. But now you got me going here. So here, let me throw this at you. I love it when you get me going. Oh my goodness, you're feeding into me now. Let's not care about Tony Anasi here. This guy's 153-21 with an 879 percentage. They played a place called Top Tagger Field. No relation to Willie. God help me there. And they only play in front of 6,200 people. This ain't no real conversation. Come on, these are pretty incredible numbers, but not in your eye. But you know what I know about it?
No. I respect Ferris.
I'm kidding with you. I'm kidding with you.
But here's the thing, though, Scott. When it comes to D2, right? My nephew played at Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas, right? D2 football, and I said, nephew, man, if y'all make it to the playoffs, who y'all looking to play? He was talking about all these teams up there where it gets cold and black ice and slushy. I said, what about Valdosta State? He's talking about, he's talking about that's different. That's different, Unc. That's that's royalty right there. And my nephew, we talking about 2000 babies now. That boy was born in, 2002. The fact that he still respect Valdosta, and that boy ain't never even been to Valdosta, but he respect what Valdosta do. And I respect Ferris State. I respect D2 the same D1 because most players talking about, hey man, you win championships. What is his name? Danny Woodhead. Didn't Danny Woodhead win like the D2 like Heisman like 3 years in a row or something like that? Had a long career with the Patriots, with the Chargers. I respect D2. All I am saying is every illustrious panel. If we are talking to and no one mentions Valdosta State, I'm gonna just slide it in. Because they said that Ferris had four, and they're tied with a team. The team they're tied with is VSU. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? If that isn't the most smooth sliding I've ever seen, then tell me what is even better. The only thing I can tell you about Valdosta State, and I drive by there a lot, is they're off of I-75, and I know a lot about them because I know everything about this top picket game of football. And I'm glad you brought them in. I know Valdosta State. They're really good. Candy, how many times I told you that Valdosta State's one of the best programs in Division II, whatever. I know about them, but man, you slide that thing in better than a quarterback hands the football off to anybody. That's great. I'm glad you did. All right, Mel, try to get in the middle of this. We got way more topics, but we're having a field day with this championship level broadcast.
There's nowhere to go with that. Ben took all the time. We can go on to the next topic. He took all that.
Great job, Ben.
I don't get a chance to go back and forth with like a Georgia player on here or a Tennessee player. So Marv Mel, I am envious because you get to go a Bruin, a Trojan on a show together. That's respectful. Man, that's must-see TV, man. There's somebody out there, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they got to talk about Northwestern football or something. Or they got to talk about, you know what I'm saying, like football that no one cares about. You talking about the Bruins, you talking about the Trojans. I played with guys that played at both teams, and they would always say the same thing. They'd say, who got the best weather than us, Troop? I said, well, you know what I mean? He's like, we don't pay no taxes. He said, SC players take pay cuts when they go to the league, baby. It's way for NIL. So that's a different topic for a different day.
Hey, it is what it is, baby. It is what it is.
All right, you know
Reggie
what? Don't
Bush
worry,
should have
Marshall.
never got his Heisman taken. Just
Don't worry, Steve. I'm saving your energy, especially for the second hour, but we have to get this college football nugget out there. Ole Miss is expected to earn at least $74 million in Oxford when they whip Tulane 41-10 on Saturday. That's a boatload of cash and a nice win for them. Steven, you want to defer? Do you want to comment on this one?
What was that again?
Yeah, there you go. That's his answer. Okay. Ole Miss got $74 million in terms of revenue in Oxford, and they whipped Tulane 41-10 on Saturday. Anything you want to say about that?
Let's go, Ole Miss.
Okay. Steven, your body language is too obvious. That's okay. We're saving you for the real stuff. Okay. But Candy, go ahead.
You know, Ole Miss without their coach still managed to do that kind of damage to Tulane. Kudos to them. I mean, let's face it. Why do they have a football program? To make money. Hey, making $74 million. Kudos to them. That's great for them.
Tommy?
I'm going to go back to Trinidad Chambliss, the Fair State transfer, Ole Miss quarterback, throwing for 300 yards every game. And Lane Kiffin should have to send some of his LSU money to him, because if Ole Miss had had such a big year, he might not have been such a hot topic. Another thing I want to add about Ole Miss is Trevor Maddich on ESPN did a real interesting thing. And this wasn't long after Lane Kiffin. All right, I know he's a good coach. I don't like the guy personally. He said he made some comment about how Trinidad Chambliss had to stop doing this Division II crap. Well, Trevor Maddich showed some highlights of Trinidad Chambliss, where he said, well, you know, once you get to Division I level, you're not supposed to be throwing without both feet on the ground. And then he showed a highlight of Trinidad Chambliss doing it. And then he showed the continuation of the play, which was a perfect pass for a long touchdown pass to beat the defender. And then there was another similar example he did for that. I don't know if Ole Miss is where they are without Trinidad Chambliss. I don't know if Lane Kiffin is where he's at without Trinidad Chambliss.
Marvin?
Listen, I don't think people are really paying attention to how much money these young athletes, these young football players are generating for these universities. It blows my mind that anybody in the world had a problem with these boys getting a cut through NIL. Unreal, $74 million, you know, for one game. Listen, this is the business, man. I mean, we are in college football. These athletes, elite level athletes, these elite level universities are in high demand. People are paying. I mean, collectively, these schools are making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So, listen, I think it's great for business, great for the schools, great for the kids. You know, Ole Miss is, you know, their kids, you know, they unfortunately are going through this situation where their coach took off, and I don't blame Lane. It's more of a calendar issue. But yeah, man, this is big business, you know. And y'all talking about, you know, these schools don't have the money to fire their coach. Yes, they do, and they do. So. Yeah, this is what it is, man. You know, people right now in the digital age, you know, we have more information. People are getting more information about the reality of the business, man. And these Power 4 schools, if you're in the Big Ten, SEC, man, you are making buku bucks.
Dan?
Yeah, and I mean, you see why a guy like Greg Sankey is probably the most powerful man in college football, being the commissioner of the SEC, because you were having having so many teams in the college football playoff. He's saying, look at how much money these teams are going to get. I mean, the University of Florida went to the national championship in basketball. That benefited the entire SEC in basketball, how much money they're going to get. So, I mean, Marvin makes the greatest point. It's about money. And the SEC is going to find a way to get that money. They're going to find a way to get it in football, through college football playoff. They're going to find a way to do it in the NCAA tournament in basketball. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a guy like Lane Kiffin, and you see Lane Kiffin is good for business. Even if he hasn't won anything yet, LSU goes, man, I see what this dude has the potential to do. And you get hired for two reasons, for winning on the field and generating revenue off the field. And he's going to find a way to do both. So, yeah, it's crazy that you get that much money for the first of the college football player. That's just the first round, and you get the money. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. It's just you see why the college football playoff is what it is. But, you know, I piggyback on what Miss Candy said. You know, it was such a hard road for them. God dang, having to play a team like Tulane, God dog, I think that game plan had to be different, right? God dang, like how was Ole Miss gonna beat Tulane? Oh, that's right. They had already beat them in the regular season. And I just think that I'm just saying. So yeah, they were gonna. But I will say, Coach Summerall, obviously he's the new head coach of the University of Florida. I think what he was able to do for Tulane before he left, and I'm happy that he still made it so that G5 coaches get opportunities. But shout out to Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss got 70 for me. I mean, Alabama, how much they got for beating Oklahoma? Georgia's still in it. You know, I mean, Big Bad Texas A&M scored average 36 points a game and scored a whopping 3 points against Miami. So, hey man, yesterday's price ain't today's price. But shout out to them Ole Miss Rebels, $74 million. Yeah, look, $74 million for the opening round. Hey man, Greg Sankey is just sitting back saying, "Hey man, who got it better than me? Who more powerful than me?" And that's the thing, because winning the national championship is cool. Making money is the goal. That is the goal. And right now, Greg Sankey making that guap. And I've met Greg Sankey twice. You know, got to play Top Golf with him way back in the day, man. He doesn't have any clue who I am. But he said he leaned in and said, "Ben, if it was up to me, I'd fly, you know what I'm saying, commercial." He says they made me fly private. I want a life like that. They won't even let me go in the airport. I have to fly private. Like I said, man, I played football, Marv, it was cool, but should have tried to be a commissioner, should have tried to be a head coach. It's just different purpose.
All right, Mel.
Well, Ben, you're still young enough, man. You could do that.
No. I know. It'll be the quickest. If I do get hired, this is what we're gonna do. All right, Mel and Marv, this is what we're gonna do. They hire me as a head coach. Marv, I'll hire you, you know what I'm saying, as the OC. Mel, I hire you as the DC. And once we secure them buyouts, I'm gonna say, look, man, I'm gonna do the Josh Daniels with the coach. I appreciate this opportunity, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to decline. I'm gonna take the money, but I think they can find somebody better than me. I wish these kids. I'm gonna do the Mel Tucker at Colorado. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Or what Manny Diaz did when he took that one job. But like Marvin and Ben both say, I mean, it's all about the money. And you know, for a long time, I've been saying, you know, they've been talking about, when you're talking about paying the players, they're college football has gotten out of sorts with the extraordinary amount of money that they're paying these coaches now. And so if they've been able to pay the coaches the kind of money that they've been paying them, then of course they can pay the players. And the bad thing about the NIL right now is, you know, coaches have no salary cap. They're trying to put a salary cap on the NIL. You know, whatever it is, $20 million or whatever it is per athletic department or something like that. You know, that's the bad thing about the NIL situation is they're putting the salary cap on the kids, but there's no salary cap on the coaches. And the kids are the one, they're out there putting their lives on the line, and they're the ones out there that people are out there to come watch play. So, but you know, for you know, Ole Miss, I'm sure that's great for Ole Miss, you know, to bring in that kind of money playing a team that they already played. And even though Lane was there, you know, these guys they've been there before. They knew what it took to win. They beat these guys before. I didn't watch the game. I don't know who watched the game. I didn't want to see that type of football game. That's not competitive football. I'd like to see a competitive football game like the Texas A&M Miami game. That was a competitive football game. I like defensive struggles. I like those defensive types of games. I don't really like the shootouts. I like the games where they're close. You're sitting on pins and needles the whole game because you just know one mistake here or one big play there could be the difference in the game. Kind of like Indiana and Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. But, you know, kudos to Ole Miss for getting that money. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, it's all about getting that money. That's why they set it up the way that they've set it up, is to make the most amount of money.
We're going to go rapid fire on this next topic. Stephen, you might be able to get involved, and we'll go with our featured topic of the night before Ben has to depart around 10 or so. So we'll go here. Rapid fire on the next one. Coach Deshaun Jackson's been named HBC Coach of the Year. Obviously, Stephen, you can get involved with Deshaun Jackson. What are your thoughts about him earning this accolade?
Not just that he was Coach of the Year, that Delaware State is, I think, as of either yesterday or today, extended him for the next 3 years as well. So, one thing's for sure: the Deion Sanders effect is in full swing. You have Deshaun Jackson, you have Michael Vick at Norfolk State, you have Marshall Faulk now. HBCU schools are going to continue to develop and show their relevance that they deserve just as much of the accolades as most of your top dog NCAA schools. So really happy for Deshaun for getting this. I'm sure not a lot of people were expecting this much out of him, but like, when you triple your team's win total over the last 3 years in one season, you can't ignore that. So Deshaun's going to continue to excel there. He's going to continue to, bring a special brand of football to the Delaware State, and I look forward to seeing. Hopefully, we get to see that annual rematch of him and Mike Vick and Norfolk State in Lincoln Financial Field, because they did great numbers when they did that at the end of October.
We may actually address that later on. But great point, Stephen. Candy.
Kudos to him. Record 8-4, but way to transition from player to coach, and then to have success, because not all of them are going to be successful. So kudos to him. Ben, I'd like to see you as a coach. Come on now.
I just told you, Miss Candy, if the money's right and the buyout is right, I'll definitely consider it. I have too much of a respect for the craft of coaching, and Marvin Mail can attest to this. You have to have a very, very supportive spouse, and you have to get used to not being at home. And as a player, I respected it. But as a coach, I can say this. I don't love football that much to break it down. Won a game, lost a game, I'm on the plane breaking it down. Look, I care too much about winning, and I suffer too much when I lose. So, like I said, I'll take the money, but I don't, and I'm not a cat that's all about my bread. It's just the fact that coach, you see how much coaches age in a year? I'm talking about the ones that's winning. I ain't even talking about the ones that's losing. So, nah, man. I mean, and here's the thing too, man. I don't know. I know it's 2025. Ain't nobody finna be walking up on me on the street to my coach, what's up, man? You better back up, bro. Like, hey, don't get it twisted, homie. Like we ain't, and I ain't trying to fight, but I don't need, and this stuff that I hear about people's spouses getting threats, no, we ain't do. It's a game, bro, and I want to win it. My wife coming to crib talking about the neighbor was over here talking trash, and he a Georgia fan. He get knocked the hell out, straight like that. We playing that. No. I respect it too much, Miss Candy, and at the same time, I think coaching have to hit you earlier. Trying to catch on to coaching later with these kids now and how they be talking. Nah, but listen, for every great football player, you got to deal with a DK Metcalf. You got to deal with an Antonio Brown. You got to deal with a George Pickens. God's still working on me. I can't deal with that. I'm just telling you that right now. Can't deal with that.
That was great, Ben. There's a reason why you're a hit on this here. There's a reason why you got a shelter. And with Steven, you're a hit, man. I swear to God. You know how much I age doing this stuff more than you'll ever know, Ben, and I can show with all this great stuff. All right, but anyways, I have to set a mouthful. Follow that one, Mel.
All right, what were we talking about again?
Deshaun
Jackson.
Coach of the Year.
Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's great. And I think it's there was guys that were coaching at HBCUs, professional athletes that were coaching at HBCUs before Deion started doing it. Doug Williams did it down there at Grambling. He took over for the great Eddie Robinson. But there's been other players that hadn't been as notable as the Deion Sanders. But there's been other guys that have gone back to HBCUs. But Deion brought a lot of attention to HBCUs when he decided to make that decision. When he took that leap from high school and went to the HBCU, and he put the HBCUs on the map. I mean, they owe him a tremendous debt of gratitude for what the exposure that he's brought to the HBCUs, and I think it's great for HBCUs, and I think it's great that these players and these great players that are going back to these HBCUs and dedicating themselves to the profession of coaching and trying to bring up the next generation of young men. Eddie George was at Tennessee State. He was Tennessee somewhere, I think it was, and he ended up getting the job at Bowling Green.
He was at TSU. He's at TSU. Tennessee State.
So he ended up going to the Bowling Green. He moved up, and so I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great stepping stone. I mean, there's constantly an influx of players, of new players that are going to be out there looking for something to do. And the fact that these HBCUs are giving these guys these opportunities, they're giving them an opportunity, and they're getting an opportunity to stay close to the game, and also because of their stature, a lot of these guys looked up to them. A lot of these guys remember these players, Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson. So I mean, I think it's a thrill for the players, for the kids coming in, for the students coming in. And I think it's a thrill for Deshaun and Michael to have this, to be in a situation where they feel like they're giving back.
Okay, now let's go to our featured topic of the night. And yes, we finally make it to the NFL. Steven, let's grade the head coaching hires from the 2025 coaching cycle. My source came from BR Gridiron, so this is what they've come up with. I'll let everybody decide exactly where they are. They grade Pete Carroll with an F. Liam Cohen got an A. Aaron Glenn got a D. Ben Johnson got an A-. Kellen Moore got a C. Brian Schottenheimer gets a B-. Mike Vrabel gets an A. Steven, are you, for the most part, do you agree with a lot of these grades?
How do you give Ben Johnson not an A when he literally turned the Chicago Bears from a 5-win team to arguably they're more than likely going to win their division at this point in time? How do you Ben Johnson is an A. Mike Vrabel absolutely is an A. They're the number one seed, right? Pete Carroll, F, absolutely deserves it. Liam Cohen, I could see him you could maybe put him as a B instead of an A, but again, went from one of the worst teams in the National Football League last year to a divisional winner this year. Right. Kellen Moore, I mean, you may be merciful on him and give him a C. Consider going into New Orleans, we already know what Kellen Moore was dealing with, right?
Right. So
I'm not going to be really hard on Kellen Moore this season, but I mean, Brian Schottenheimer, I'm not going to give him an F because I think they've done very well on offense, but when your owner goes out and trades one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and you don't replace him, and then you still have the garbage that you have on the back end. And then they also have big contracts on the back end of that defense, and they're still one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I'm not going to be really hard on Brian Schottenheimer either. That being said, I think they're like a $36 million in dead cap next season.
Right.
They're in a lot of trouble, and he has to hit on his draft picks next year if they're even going to be competitive at all. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down there in Big D. But I'm not going to be really hard on Schottenheimer. I'll probably keep him in that C range with Kellen Moore, knowing what he has to deal with Jerry Jones meddling in every little thing he does. So right. the fact that they were still competitive, knowing the injuries they had, knowing they have all the lights on them, I'm not going to be too hard on that. But Brian Johnson absolutely has to be an A+. What they did, revamping the offensive line for Caleb Williams. Ben knows that they were one of the guys I've been high on. So, but Vrabel absolutely should be right there, and Liam Cohen. It should be interesting to see who's going to be the NFL Coach of the Year this year, because I think it should be from this group that we just mentioned.
Earl, if you're referring to Mike V, I don't think I have a Mike T on the list He's got an A. Just want to make sure I address that.
Yeah,
Candy?
he's definitely an A.
Yeah.
I thought Ben Johnson is what you said. He said it was a B, but I don't know how he's not an A.
Well, no, I said Ben Johnson was an A. A
I
minus.
thought you said B.
minus. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
minus. Okay, well, nevertheless, he's got an A of some kind. But all right, go ahead, Candy.
In a league where there's been more parity across the board, you've seen more teams that you thought were going to win a lot of games not win a lot of games, where people were gunning for other people. I think for the most part that list is pretty good. The only thing I would say is I don't know that I would even give Aaron Glenn a D minus. He might be an F. I'm sorry. I just
They don't have a
think-
single interception, a single
Exactly.
defensive interception.
no interception. They just don't look motivated. They're not gelling together. I don't know that I would give him a D minus. I'd give him an F. But you have to give Ben Johnson kudos. You have to give Liam Cohen to get their respective teams where they're at, and Mike Vrabel, of course. So yeah, I would think that those are pretty fair for the most part.
We'll turn it over to Ben.
No, I mean, obviously Mike V getting an A plus. I think Liam Cohen, what he was able to do in year one with a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who everybody thought was, nobody can really fix him with the Doug Peterson situation, and what they're doing right now in Jacksonville is incredible. I think Brian Schottenheimer, I do agree with something that Steven said. I think he should get an A because he has to deal with so much more than the team. Like, he has to deal with the team. I got to deal with Jerry Jones. I got to deal with the Dallas. It's a lot. And I just remember when Brian Schottenheimer got the head coaching job, he wasn't on nobody else's list but the Dallas Cowboys. And he's done an okay job because I think when you the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, you got to deal with a lot of stuff. Brian Schottenheimer is popular for being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and having to manage that circus down there. And I think he did a good job. I would give Kellen Moore a B because I didn't think the New Orleans Saints were going to win a game. They beat the NFC South leading Panthers twice. They beat them twice this season, and they're going to be the worst in the division, but they don't play like bottom feeders. They play really, really competitive football. I mean, Tyler Shuck. I mean, this is the same guy that everybody got drafted second round because they thought that Shedeur Sanders was going to go there. So I always give a team, look, the worst team, the fact that you even got to grade Pete Carroll. I mean, you got to grade that. You got to grade the Raiders for real. The Raiders are, I'm just saying, it is hard to watch the Raiders. I don't know what it's going to be to turn around that entire organization. They thought there was a problem because you was in Oakland. So now you in Las Vegas. No, it's still a problem. So, I will say this. Pete Carroll, to me, college and pro combined, he's the greatest coach ever. College and pro, he's the greatest coach ever for what he did. But you might leave the Raiders alone. I'm going to say this. Michael Jordan played for the Wizards. It didn't tarnish his legacy, but he did play for the Wizards. I think Pete Carroll need to go to the career, man, because I don't think the Raiders, the Raiders in football is like being a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. You just can't win. I don't get it. So, but Liam Cohen, what Ben Johnson has done with Caleb Williams and the Mike Vrabel effect in year one, I was mad when they got rid of Mayo, but hey man, Vrabel's getting it done. And like I said, I give Kellen Moore a ton of credit for keeping that team afloat in an NFC South that's not going to probably get won by the Bucks. The Falcons ain't making the playoffs, and you beat the team that might go to the playoffs twice. That to me, that deserves a B because Kellen Moore's consolation prize for winning the Super Bowl and being the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. He got to coach a really, really bad, really outside of Alvin Kamara and with Chris Olave and Cameron Jordan, who even played for the freaking Saints that you would know if they was walking down the street in New Orleans. You wouldn't even know them. So shout out to them. But yeah, these first-year head coaches are doing an incredible job. And give Aaron Glenn some time, man. You got to get a quarterback first. Get your quarterback, then really judge him.
All right, Ben, real quickly, and then I'll go to the rest of everybody else. I want to get your opinion on this topic, and then I know we have a hard out at 10. So what are your thoughts about the holiday controversy when the Holiday Bowl wanted to move the Holiday Bowl to the Middle East, but officials and they met with officials in Saudi Arabia this past spring, but the ACC did not allow the game. What are your thoughts on that?
They wanted to move the Holiday Bowl to the Middle East.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, is the Holiday Bowl they hurting for money like that, or they just want to get that cheese? They want to get that bread, right? Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This is why I don't agree with it. Yeah. These are young men who don't really understand. They just following orders, right? They just following orders. If you've never visited Saudi Arabia with your own money to vacation, don't be trying to send a bunch of college athletes over there. What? Look at all these places you can go. Hey man, what about Hawaii? Nope. Brazil? Mm-mm. Oh man, what about the Cayman Islands? We going to Saudi Arabia. What? You go. No. You don't get this. College athletes ain't lab rats. You don't get to experiment with them. What type of nonsense? Look, Marvin, all money ain't good money now, and I know they want that bread. But here's the thing. Listen. Marvin, your son is in college, and he say, Dad, what? We going to the Holiday Bowl. Where y'all going? To Saudi Arabia. Wait. What? We going? You see what I'm saying? I get it, but because people present something on the table don't mean you got to accept it. It's way too many places to go. That's far better than Saudi Arabia, right? Come on, man. I mean, I'm happy that they voted it down. And here's the thing, right? What is going on with the Holiday Bowl? That's even a consideration. You know how many bowl games it is? It's so many bowl games. You don't even know they own. It's probably a bowl game on right now in the States. In the States. Right? In the States. So find somewhere in the States. Find somewhere in California. I mean, don't do that. Come on, man. Because the whole thing about
the Holiday Bowl is in San Diego.
Well,
that's all I'm saying. It's great places to play football in the great US of A. Here's the thing. A college team can't play in Saudi Arabia until NFL teams do. If an NFL teams go, then college teams do. Because they ain't going over there. Why ain't they going over there? Okay. No. Ridiculous.
All right, so what isn't ridiculous? You're going to let everybody know how they get a hold of you. That's not ridiculous. That's a fact. Go ahead, let everybody know.
I will say this. I am Ben Troop 84 on IG. I don't know what I am on X. I have gotten hacked once. So whoever this person hacking me is, get a life. I don't know how to get it back. I'm not trying to get it back. I'm Ben Troop somewhere on X. So if you see me, that is really me, but I got hacked again. But yes, but I tell you where you can find me on the South Florida Tribune with the homie Steve, listen, with the homie Marvin, and pretty soon I'm gonna have my own show coming. Anybody that's looking for me know, man, I represent the same smart tech as South Florida Tribune. We represent the same smart tech. And I'm out of here.
You're on Tuesday night before you get out of here. You're with us, all right?
I am contractually obligated to be on here Tuesday nights with the homie, you know what I'm saying, Scott, with the Rolls Royce, Bentley, BMW, whatever, the 65 Impala drop top. That's what I want. Miss Candy, Tom, Marvin, Mel, Steve. I'm gonna say the same thing I say on the fan in the end. Listen, you come through here because you come through here for the nuance, you come through here for the nonsense, but you stay because it makes sense. That's why you listen, because it makes sense to listen to us. But don't take what we say to the bank. And if you win any money, I just want 20% of the proceeds because I don't want to pay no taxes.
Just remember who the ringleader of this is. Don't you ever forget it, brother.
The ringleader of this is Marv and Mel because I want to hear that. I want to hear that banter back and forth. It is the greatest. A Bruin and a Trojan have to share the mic together. Dude, let's do it. I'm here for that all day.
We're gonna find a dog for you. We're gonna find you.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Listen. I already got a puppy. I don't need to talk to one. I don't want to talk to no puppies. I don't want to talk to
you gotta give him a baby gator.
Hey, Marvin, just remember, okay? Don't forget me, brother. Or not you,
Scott.
Marvin.
Scott, you already know you the man, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you letting me be a part of this squad, man. I think sometimes as a former player, what can replace the locker room is hard to replace the locker room. This is very, very close, if not better, man. So I know I speak for Marv and Mel when I say we don't miss the game. We miss the teammates, man. I appreciate you. Team to be a part of, and I'm gonna give you all I got, sir.
The most. Yeah, that's what you missed the most.
And I don't need totally the prompts, but remember one thing, brother. I intend to go out to one of you guys because you're loyal to the firm and you're a major reason why we hit that million plateau that we're proud of, and you guys are a big part of what we've done. We're proud. I don't know what the number is now, Stephen, but everybody on this group has contributed mightily there. All right, 2 minutes past your time, but you made it the distance. Proud of you, Ben. All I have to tell you is Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas to all y'all, man. Have a happy New Year, man. I'm gonna miss y'all.
All right,
And
Ben. Be
and
good,
we'll
brother.
see you next. Hey,
Safe.
listen,
All
Ben.
Be
We'll
safe, my brother.
see you next Tuesday night, man. Ben, we will
Yes,
do
sir.
this next Tuesday night. All right. Now we're down to 6. All right.
1,014,000.
Huh?
1,014,000.
Is that what it was? Okay, that's what I thought. All right, so let's get back to the other topic before I had to divert. Okay, and that was the grades. All right, Marvin, go ahead.
Yeah. First, listen, shout out to my cousin Earl Kinsey, always being supportive. One of my favorite cousins. Appreciate you watching the show and being a part of it as well. Listen, when
Earl go to school?
Earl served his country for 20 years. He went to a tech school, and
Okay.
I couldn't tell you which one it is.
Smart
With
guy.
that, yeah, but he's a Trojan at heart. With that said, listen,
Wow.
when the New York Football Jets hired Aaron Glenn, nobody was happier than me. Former great player in the NFL, was a great New York Jet, Pro Bowl New York Jet, great player out of A&M, and he was outstanding. Okay, so to say that this has been disappointing is being kind. Aaron Glenn allowed Aaron Rodgers to walk out the door. Aaron Rodgers is taking the Steelers to the top of the division and into the playoffs. Okay, Aaron Glenn chose to have Justin Fields be our quarterback. Justin Fields will never in his life have a chance to be a starting quarterback again. All right, Aaron Glenn he inherited a roster that was supposed to be a playoff contender. We're looking at possibly the number 1 draft pick, which means we're not going to the playoffs. We're on the opposite end of that, if you understand how the draft works. All right. Aaron Glenn got a roster that had a Pro Bowl corner in Sauce Gardner, Pro Bowl D lineman, Quentin Williams. They're not on the team anymore. Okay. Aaron Glenn was a defensive guy. Our defense is trash, and they fired the defensive coordinator. If Aaron Glenn hasn't earned an F this year, I don't know what an F looks like. Right. Now, if we draft this kid out of Indiana, and he's lightning in the bottle, or we can get Joe Burrow in a trade or something like that, then it looks different. Ben is right. You can't really judge the coach until you get the quarterback. But the coach chose to not have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and he chose to have Justin Fields at quarterback. He's a defensive specialist. Our defense sucks. I don't. If all the names you listed and all the grades you listed, the only thing I'm hearing is that's a D. If that's a D, I'm afraid of what an F is, and I really mean it.
Right.
Okay? So that's my take on that. In regards to Ben Johnson, on the other hand of that, is doing amazing. An A-. If that's not the Bears are about to win the division, they're going to the playoffs. All you hear are all these pundits and experts saying how great Caleb is looking. They wasn't saying that last year and the year before. But this kid's playing efficient football. There were touchdown winning passes to DJ Moore. So listen, Ben Johnson to me right now is an A, and my man Glenn, who I pray for, is an F. Period. Point blank.
Okay. All right, Tommy. What are your thoughts on the list?
Yeah, I'll say Ben Johnson deserves an A+. I don't understand that. And Caleb Williams would agree too. He saved Caleb Williams' career. If he had to spend another year getting beat up by under the former coach or under a new coach that didn't do the job Ben Johnson did. I also give Brian Schottenheimer high grades for the same reason Steve did, that he's got to deal with Jerry Jones. His father, Marty Schottenheimer, is one of the great underrated coaches in NFL history, simply because he didn't win a Super Bowl or even get to one. He had a lot of heartbreak there. Brian Schottenheimer has exceeded my expectations. The other guys I'll skip over. I'll say this. The con man in chief gave himself an AAA. I'll give Pete Carroll an F. I'll give Pete Carroll an F for hiring Chip Kelly. Right. And I'll give Mark Davis an F for hiring Pete Carroll.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Mel, you have the last. I'll give my opinion on the list in a moment, but go ahead, Mel. We have other topics I want to get to as well.
Yeah, well, Aaron Glenn, that's the one that kind of surprised me. Somebody's showing a little grace there. Look, I'm happy that Aaron got the opportunity to get the head coaching job. I believe he has the same opportunity to fail or succeed. It's just as anybody else. But I never really saw what everybody else saw in him when he was at Detroit as a defensive coordinator. If you look at their defense, Yeah, I mean, look, Marv, I've been looking at it for the last 3 or 4 years, and their defense has just been okay. It hasn't been lights out. It hasn't been great. It's been okay. They've been opportunistic, but they've also been the beneficiary of a very good offense and being able to play one dimensional on the defensive side of the ball. When they jump out to a lead early on teams only have one choice. They got to throw the football, and that's kind of plays into Detroit's strengths. But they still had these gaping holes in their defense. They just had a very good offense that kind of overshadowed that defense and kind of hit a lot of the deficiencies of that defense as well. So I was very shocked, to be honest with you, when Aaron Glenn was had been given the head coaching job. Was awarded a head coaching job, and not because he deserves to have that opportunity, because other people who I feel weren't very qualified for head coaching jobs got that opportunity. He made the decision to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. He said his general manager did it, the owner, whatever the case may be. He was a part of that conversation, and he had to sign off on it. He made that decision to get rid of Aaron Rodgers and to rest his hat in his future on or hitch his wagon to Justin Fields. That has not played out very well. Justin Fields is, he has not been good in all the stops. Everywhere he's been, he has not been that great. He has not been that dynamic. So I would definitely give him an F. Ben Johnson has to get an A. I don't understand how he gets an A minus. I don't know who was grading that. I would Kellen Moore at the Saints. That was a tough job, man. Would they give him a C minus?
Yeah, I'm going over that right now. Actually,
I mean,
they give him a C. Actually, they give him a C.
See, I think that's fair. That's a tough job. I think that's fair. Schottenheimer, I think he's done better than a lot of people imagine. And yeah, he does have to deal with a whole lot down there as well. The biggest thing he's got to deal with is Jerry and his ego and his whims and all that other kind of stuff. So I mean he's done a heck of a job, and that offense has looked dynamic. I mean, you look at what Dak has been able to do this year. That offense has been dynamic. Defense hasn't been all that great, but they've been good enough. But unfortunately, they're not going anywhere, just like Detroit's not going anywhere. Other grades, I think, are pretty fair.
All right, so Candy will give us a short station break at the very end of the broadcast. It's actually, you don't have to do it now. I want to get to a few other topics. As far as the grades are concerned, Carroll, without a doubt, gets an F. Liam Cohen, I think, does deserve an A, to be honest with you, because he's led this team to a divisional title. Keep in mind, the only reason why he landed there is because Sean Todd got rid of Trent Baalke. Otherwise, he wasn't even go there in the first place. And then Liam Cohen said, no, Trent, no problem, I'm going. As far as Aaron Glenn, I definitely believe he deserves an F. Ben Johnson deserves an A. Kellen Moore, C is fair. Ryan Schottenheimer, B, any kind of a B is good. Mike Vrabel deserves an A in more ways than one. Obviously, Tennessee Titans should regret letting this guy go. All right, now we're going to go to this other topic that Ben started, and we're going to finish. We'll go back to the Holiday Bowl controversy that the ACC shot down the game to go to Saudi Arabia. So, Steven, what are your thoughts about this?
Stupid. Pass.
Okay, fair enough. Candy?
I don't see why you would take a bowl and take it out to Saudi Arabia. I don't think a lot of fans would have traveled with them. I just don't see it. I'm glad they turned it down and they kept it here, because that's not the place right now that I would be traveling to.
Mel?
Yeah, it's just money. I mean, Holiday Bowl, they've been struggling for a while, and in bowl games in particular, like Ben said, there's a bowl game on right now. Nobody's watching it. Nobody cares about these bowl games anymore. Bowl games have lost their importance. So the Holiday Bowl, they're looking for an influx of cash, and if they can get, we know the Saudis, they're willing to pay some money for entertainment, and so if they can get somebody on, if they were able to get somebody on board with taking some kids overseas, they would have done that. They weren't concerned about having people come from over here to go watch it. They weren't concerned about that at all. They just make sure, as long as they got their bag, that's all they're concerned about getting. It didn't have to be any fans in the stands as long as they got their bag. But I'm glad that they didn't, because there's a lot of differences there as far as the culture is concerned. And you got young kids, young 18, 20 to 21-year-old kids with high testosterone levels, and there's certain things you can do here that you can't do over there. I mean, what happened when UCLA went to China one time, and one of the Ball brothers got in trouble over there messing around doing something. Jello, whatever Leangelo, whatever the one is they call Jello, got in trouble over there shoplifting or something like that. You don't want to get in trouble in a foreign country. You know that's it's bad enough getting in trouble in a different state. You don't want to get in trouble in a foreign country because laws are different. They can do things different. You might get some lashes. You might have to spend some time in the pokey. It's just you got to get all these different people involved, maybe embassies and heads of states and all that. It's just not. It's not a good situation. So there's plenty of places to play here. Whether they play here or whether they play there, they're going to be irrelevant. People aren't going to watch it anyway. I understand, but they're just trying to make the bowl game relevant.
Tommy?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing as Mel. Remember those UCLA players? And then the con man, after they were in jail for a couple of days, the con man in chief took credit for getting them out. If kids got in trouble in Saudi Arabia, they'd be executed.
Yeah.
The con man in chief would say, well, unfortunate things happen, and kind of like the Washington Post columnist that got cut up.
Yeah, no, great point. Marvin?
It is inevitable that you will see college football and these bowl games expand out. These are business. This is business, y'all. They're not in it for the football. They're in it for the money. These Saudis want to get into the sports game big. You see what they're doing with boxing. You see what they're doing with UFC. They got big money, and they realize the gold mine that football is. It is in the era of name, image, and likeness. Okay, college football is going to expand, and they're going to blow up, as they have been doing, and it's just a matter of time. The other thing is this: you guys forget. For these bowl games, these sponsors, these bowls, they give players gifts. Okay, can you imagine what the gifts the players are going to get for going to Saudi Arabia? Can you imagine what that
Create
is?
your own bowl, then don't try to steal another bowl. Create a bowl for
Might
that
get
area.
might get a bar of gold or
Look, listen, man. Capitalism has no mercy. Okay, that's the bottom line. And where there's an opportunity to make money, they are going to exploit and they're going to blow it up and they're going to milk that thing and make that money. So my thing is, when you think about how easy it is to get in trouble out there and the consequences and all that stuff, man, do you really want 105 20-year-olds out there full of testosterone and confidence, losing their mind? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So, but in regards to the Saudis, I get it. And let me tell you something, y'all. College football, NFL, they trying to grow their business. They are going to go global, and they're going to keep doing that. The Saudis are going to get football. You're going to see an NFL game. You're going to see a college game. You're going to see something out there. They got too much money. And for America, that's our draw. We don't say no to money. We're a slave to money. Cash is king out here. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, it doesn't surprise me. And I listen, I want to see what them players get as gifts. That's what I want to hear about.
All right, here's what I'll tell you. Go ahead, Candy.
I just wanted to quick add that not only did they do that, but North Carolina General Manager Mike Lombardi traveled to Saudi Arabia to discuss a possible partnership. He came back empty as well.
Okay. Well, here's what's going to happen with that situation. A few other topics I need to get to. Number one, it may not be the ACC, but I can tell you right now, the Group of Five conferences will get involved. If they see a big cash grab there, I can see that happening. The ACC, I understand why they did it, but let's face the reality: these Group of Five conferences and teams are looking to find any way they can to finance their games, and they will. I can remember working with Howard Schiller and FAU. They played those mismatch games, and they were able to go out there and make a lot of money to build their programs. This is one I want to get to. We're going to go to more NFL stuff. Miami wide receiver Ray Joseph has entered the transfer portal. The speedy star receiver, they totally only had 14 catches for 135 yards over 3 seasons with the Hurricanes. He was a former 4-star prospect. He's a great kid. I interviewed him for the regular season. Candy, I'm going to tell you something, okay? This Ray Joseph's a good player, and I can only wish better things for this guy.
I agree. I mean, he was the first player to enter the transfer portal. I mean, I think he knows Carson Beck's not going to be there next year. He doesn't know who the quarterback's going to be. He wants to leave his options open to see, because he wants someone to throw to him all the time. So I understand.
Did he play last week?
Former 4-star wide receiver.
Did he play last week? Did he play against A&M? I'm trying to remember who the guy is.
Let me see.
I mean, Malachi Tony was big.
Okay,
Yeah.
was that the guy who I guess has been in the doghouse a little bit? Is he a freshman, Malachi Tony?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's the guy that ran the reverse or whatever for a touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm getting
He's the one that
confused.
fumbled the ball and then actually
Right.
ran.
Gotcha,
for 10,
okay.
Yes. Mhm.
All right, so Ray, has he played this year? I mean, what
like
are
I
his
said,
stats this year?
Yeah, 14 for 135 yards over 3 years. I thought the guy was going to have a big
Over
role.
3
That's why I
years?
talked to him. Yeah. Yeah.
14
This guy-
receptions?
Yeah, for 135 yards under Mario Cristobal. The guy had to make a move. No.
Yeah, he needs a transfer.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean, this kid's will be a good prospect. You'll hear about him. Anything else you want to add to it, Mel? What about you, Tommy?
Well, you know, a lot of guys that are 4-stars don't pan out. They don't make the adjustment to college. Clearly, he hasn't produced, so that's the reason he's in the transfer portal. You know, nowadays there's 2 reasons. They're looking for more money. Is the other reason.
Okay. Marvin?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he was a 4-star recruit, that's a blue chip. Okay, so and that, UM is building something, Mario's building something, and what they're trying to do is stack those rosters. Now, trust me, outside of his lack of playing time, lack of productivity, what also is happening is he has other schools trying to holler at him. You know what I'm saying? And they telling him he gonna get the bag, he gonna get paid. So this isn't just him leaving just because. I mean, he's being motivated to get up out of there. That's what it is now. You know what I mean? Somebody hit him up on Twitter. Somebody spoke to his agent, his mom, whatever, and they said, hey, if you want to come to the SEC or you want to come to the Big 12 or you want to, we got something for you. So it's not just him on his own. This is what it is. This is what it's going to be until they really put guardrails in place and the things in place to make this make sense. Unfortunate, for UM, they put a lot of money and time into recruiting this kid, I'm sure, but this is what it is. This is where we are in 2025 until the ADs, presidents, H2A put some kind of rules in place in regards to transferring and the calendar of it. I mean, why is this being announced? They're in the middle of a championship run. It's
Right.
crazy.
That's what I don't understand. That's crazy.
This kid is looking at getting a ring and being a part of a championship team, and it's just, it's unfortunate, man.
I don't understand that.
The calendar for coaches and for players, the calendar sucks as it pertains to leaving. And trust me, he doesn't want to walk out on his team, but this is what the business is, man. So
Okay, let's move on. Another good feel-good story out of Miami, though, is a guy I've also spoken to many times, is Patriots kicker Andy Borregales, who actually has passed Stephen Gostkowski in 105 and Andy Borregales 105, his past kicker Stephen Gostkowski 103 for points scored by a rookie in franchise history. I'll tell you one thing, Stephen, Andy Borregales has stabilized that situation up in New England with this guy was the most reliable kickers on the planet. Andy Borregales is a heck of a player.
It's all right.
You know much about him? Okay,
New
no problem.
England.
That's okay. New England's doing well
Kicker
because
from
of
New England.
that's okay. I get it. All right, Candy, some thoughts about Andy.
He's made 26 field goals out of 29. His long is 53. He's made 44 extra point. I mean, he was a steady kicker for Miami. We knew he was going to do well. We were just really happy that he landed with a team. And he's on a good team that's going to go to the playoffs. Happy, couldn't be happier for him. Good all-around kid.
Mel?
Yeah, what Candy said.
Okay. All right, well, that's rapid fire in your eyes anyways. Tommy?
Hey, he was born in Venezuela. He better be looking over his shoulder. He might get deported.
That's funny. That is pretty funny. Okay, go ahead, Marvin.
all right, y'all laughing, man. But ICE coming through anyway. They going to churches, man. So anyway, listen, this guy's gonna play the Jets this week. The Jets are the worst team against field goal kickers, so he should have a big game. I'm trying to pick him up in my fantasy for my championship round. I hope. Listen, it is what it is. I want the Jets to get a top pick, and I want to win my fantasy. I hope he has a great game.
Oh, well, then Andy Borregales, you trust. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey, listen, I don't know if the Detroit Lions are going to the playoffs, but I'm going to tell you one thing.
not.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll throw a Lions nugget in there. The Detroit Lions Dallas Cowboys Thursday night game was the most watched Thursday night football on Amazon Prime regular season. The game actually ended up, according to Brent Galley, drew 19.39 million viewers. The Lions and the Cowboys are a draw in prime time. And guess what? Neither of them, Steven, are going to the playoffs.
I was about to say, woohoo, we're talking about two non-playoff teams.
But they draw well, man.
But that wasn't the case when they played, though, right? They played against each other and played on a Thursday night. That wasn't the case when they played each other.
Correct.
They were both in the hunt at that time.
Right. The thing is, they're Thanksgiving.
That's what made that's what made the game compelling, where people wanted to watch the game. I mean, nobody wants to watch two people that aren't going anywhere.
I'm gonna pivot off that one, Mel. Are you gonna watch any of the Christmas games that mean absolutely nothing tomorrow?
Probably gonna watch the Lions game. They're playing on Christmas,
Thursday,
right?
Yeah.
That's Christmas. The Lions are playing on Christmas Day.
Yeah, but do you have
On
Netflix?
Netflix.
Pardon me?
They're
Yeah.
playing on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have
I'll
it?
probably watch the Lions game, and Dallas is playing too. Who they playing? Dallas is playing who? Philly or
Commanders.
Washington? Who they play?
The Commanders.
Commanders.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that game. And then there's a late game. What, Kansas City? Are they playing too? Who's playing the late
Philly
game?
and Denver.
Broncos and Chiefs.
It was a bad
Broncos and
game.
Chiefs? Yeah, probably won't watch that game.
Or should
either.
we say Kansas? Should we start calling them Kansas now?
Well, yeah, right. Well, they're still Kansas City, Kansas, right?
Not yet.
Until 30-31.
Well, there's Kansas
20-31,
City,
right?
Missouri, and there's Kansas City, Kansas. I mean, it just depends on what side of the river you're on, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll watch the Lions game. The rest of the games, I'm not going to watch. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, well, we don't have Netflix. I have a feeling I may not watch it. I'll have to do other admin.
Just like
work.
I watched that fight this weekend. I don't know why I stayed up so late watching that garbage.
Oh, because everyone wants to watch Jake Paul get his head spun around like a top.
Yep. You hate to love him. You love to hate him, I mean. You love to hate him.
All right, Tommy, some thoughts about the Lions and the Cowboys in prime time.
Hey, the Cowboys are like the Cowboys fans are like middle school girls keeping up with the Kardashians. They're popular, but they don't care if they're good.
Marvin?
Man, listen, I'm a football nut. I'm a junkie. I got it bad. So, yeah, I'd watch Michigan State play UCLA. That's how low I would go. You know what I'm saying? So, it's don't matter to me, man. You know what I mean?
Well, they took a double jab there,
I'm just saying. So, yeah, those numbers don't surprise me. Football is king, man. Football is big on our country. It's up there with religion. People don't want to hear that, but it's true. And we realized that during COVID, how much we miss sports, particularly football. So yeah, man, these people love the Midwest. People in the Midwest, love their Lions, and you got the Cowboys are the biggest brand, most viable team in pro sports. And it's the NFL. They put out a great product. It's a great TV product. So it doesn't shock me at all.
All right, so let me give you some Christmas updates real quick. J.J. McCarthy is out versus the Lions due to a fractured right hand. Max Brosmer will start against the Lions. Also, injury updates, Jordan Love and Malik Willis are actually practicing in a limited capacity. Stephen, what are your thoughts about those updates? J.J. McCarthy first.
Yeah, I'm about to have to head upstairs with my mom right now. So
And
Just go
Gardner
ahead, Ro.
Minshew tore his ACL for Kansas
What?
City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. All right, well, Steven's out for a little while. All right, so let's go ahead around the horn. Candy, some thoughts about J.J. McCarthy. He's out. Max Brosmer's in.
I mean, Minnesota isn't playing for anything anyways, except for, next year. So this gives this guy a chance to get some good game film and try and do something against your team.
Who's playing? Who's playing for JJ McCarthy? Who started?
Max Brosmer.
Max Brosner. Who's that?
Exactly. That's what I said when I looked
Exactly.
it up.
That's
Don't
why.
worry
I
about it.
mean, it's his chance,
What happened to Carson? Is he hurt?
Yeah, Carson's been out for a while now.
Okay.
And as far as Jordan Love and Malik Willis, obviously the Packers are still in it. They're trying to play for a playoff spot. They're still a slim, and I say this a slim chance to win the division. So I hope, they can play. And to be honest with you, both of them. I mean, I know some people are very critical about Malik Willis, but I think he admirably came into that game, and we had a chance to win that game still with him. So I'd take either one of them at this
Well,
point.
I mean,
I just hope they're not injured, that they can do it.
at least Minnesota's not calling like Brett Favre or Randall Cunningham or Warren Moon to see if they can play.
No, that's okay. I appreciate where you're going with Marvin.
The thing about JJ McCarthy is, Jim Harbaugh, and you understand why, just supporting his kid, but he came out, he was saying how JJ was the best quarterback in the country and the best quarterback in the draft. And, he gets drafted by Minnesota and he doesn't play the first year. And this just, it's not, I wouldn't say it's going great for him at this point. He's young, whether he lasts in Minnesota or not, he has some growing to do without question. In regards to this no-name kid, this kid coming in for him, Max, whatever. Good luck, man. This is your shot. It's the end of the season. What you're doing is you're competing to see if you can get a job, get a contract going into next season. They want to see what you got. I don't know what's happening with quarterback play with some of these guys, the development. Because again, you see the Colts having to bring in a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. So you're wondering, what's happening with the development of these quarterbacks, some of these young guys, whether it be this kid Max, who I haven't heard of, JJ, Justin Fields, whoever it may be. But yeah, it sucks for Minnesota, sucks for JJ. Let's see what this young kid does.
Mel.
Yeah, I think the problem is you're paying the starters so much money. You have little money to pay anybody else at that position. I mean, you only have so much money to pay at that position. These positions, they probably have so much money that they're willing to pay out at that position. The quarterback market needs to be adjusted because they're paying the starting quarterbacks way too much money. I know JJ McCarthy's on a rookie contract, but for the most part, these clubs are paying the quarterback too much money. Now, look, I've watched the UFL and I've seen some guys that play the position very well. The kid that the Lions had, Adrian Martinez, that came from Nebraska, he's played well in the UFL, and there's been some other guys that have played well in the UFL that have not gotten the opportunity in the NFL. So I don't know what the problem is, but there are some guys being developed, but for whatever reason, they're not making the NFL rosters and they're not sticking around NFL teams for whatever reason. Now, as far as JJ McCarthy is concerned, I mean, I had two really good sources that told me everything I need to know about JJ McCarthy. My eyes. And I never saw anything. I never saw anything special about JJ McCarthy. I mean, he didn't. There's one game where he didn't throw the ball with Sharon Moore. I think they played. Who was it? Penn State, or they played somebody. I can't remember who it was. They played. They didn't throw the ball in the entire game.
Right.
So I don't. My eyes saw one thing. Now, again, I don't do this professionally. Other people see whatever it is that they want to see. Somehow they saw something that they were enamored with. No different than the kid that they drafted for the Jets drafted a number of years ago that's down there in Miami. Sometimes you just make bad decisions and then you just have to move off from them. JJ McCarthy's probably a bad decision and they're going to need to move off from him because, you look at what's happening with Justin Jefferson. I mean, he has to have somebody. He is in a dependent position. He has to have somebody who's competent, who can throw him the football. Otherwise, Justin Jefferson is just another guy. So they're going to have to make some decisions about that position. Now, this kid that they have, like Marvin said, hey, here's your opportunity. Go out there and shine, do your thing. One thing my dad always said is you can't hide performance. So just go out there and play, let it rip.
Okay. Last thing we're going to talk about, just a basic overview of last week's games real quickly. And we're running out of time. I have about 3 minutes or so to get it done, but we'll do what we have to do. And that's what we'll go rapid fire on this one. Obviously, last week, Chicago ends up beating Green Bay 22-16. That was a thriller, except for Candy. Okay. Seattle Seahawks 38-37 with the Rams. The Lions lost to Pittsburgh. The Steelers and, of course, Jacksonville blew out Denver. That was a statement game. Candy, some quick thoughts about these games.
I would say the statement game, I think, is really Jacksonville going into Denver and beating them in Mile High as good as they did. So, as far as the Bears-Packer game, that means we split the season. They won one, we won one. So still 2 games left in the season for both. We'll see who ends up on top either way, Chicago has really turned it around, and you got to give kudos to Ben Johnson for that.
Steven, of these games, which ones stand out to you?
I definitely got to feel that Jacksonville going into Denver and winning that one, kind of securing their division, not leaving any doubt, and picking up a big win there. So,
Mel.
Yeah, I'm the Jacksonville going and doing what they did to Denver. I'm not really a Sean Payton guy. Maybe it had something to do with the way he treated Russell Wilson. I don't know what it is, but I'm not really a Sean Payton guy. So yeah, that and he's a little arrogant. But what they did, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's been playing out of his mind. The last 2 weeks, my fantasy team has had to play against him, man. And I think he had 40 points one week, 30 points another week. I mean, he's been playing out of his mind. I think he's finally. He realizing that potential that everybody thought that he had coming out of college.
Marvin or Tommy first?
Yeah, I was disappointed for the Lions, as I understand that they still have a chance if they win their last two.
6%.
Lose their last two. Yeah, disappointing loss.
Marvin?
Listen, I think people in the NFC need to pay attention to what's happening in Chicago. Pay attention. All you heard about, for the last 2-3 years is how this kid, Caleb Williams, was a generational quarterback. They don't say that about everybody. They don't say that about it. We've had a lot of first-round draft pick quarterbacks, a lot of guys go number one, but they don't use that word for everybody. And what you're seeing is Ben Johnson open this thing up. To see Caleb.
They use that word loosely.
Well, you got to pay attention, son. You got to pay attention, okay? If you look at Caleb, man, with this walk-off touchdown pass to DJ Moore in overtime, I mean, he's really coming into his own. And, that game against the Pack, my old Pack, it was special, man. And I think this kid's coming out, and I think people in the NFC should pay attention. I'm just saying. And so it was Chicago, Green Bay. That's the game that I really enjoyed watching and seeing what the Ben Johnson effect is really about as we get into Week 15. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I'll say this real quick, and then we're going to talk about a couple topics that we'll be talking about next week. I like what Jacksonville did. Don't sleep on Travis Etienne, the former Clemson Tiger. Him and Lawrence have done a good job. A couple topics we're going to get into next week. We're going to talk about the amount of popes versus the amount of coaches that the Pittsburgh Steelers have. Hope you'll be there for that one. We're going to talk about first-round rookie quarterbacks that have lost their coaches and obviously their first-year rookie ones, as in Cam Ward and Brian Callahan. That'll be on next week's docket as well. Then I want to talk about Arch Manning taking a little bit of a discount to stay at Texas. He's not going to be declaring for the draft. Those will be some of our top topics going into next week. So I hope you can join us here on Inside the Pigskin. Want to make sure we got to a lot of these as well. And I think for the most part, we were able to go out there and reach a lot of what we were looking to get done. With that said, I owe it to everybody else to let everybody know how you get a hold of you. But those are the three topics that'll be high priority next week. So Cam Ward and then Jackson Dart, definitely for sure. And of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers coaching is unbelievable. How few coaches that they've had and the amount of popes they've had. And that's what I'm looking forward to talking about as well. And as I alluded to before, what was the other one? I don't remember, but and Arch Manning as well. All right, Candy. We'll let Steven go real first, and then you can do a quick one. Steven, go ahead.
What do you have me do now?
How can we find you?
Yeah, obviously, just type in the name there. Steven Rochelle. It should be real easy to find me. Facebook, Instagram, and if you're on X, TikTok, YouTube, just type in Steve Sports Talk 1. Really, real easy to get me there. Obviously, me, Marvin, and Ben will be on tomorrow morning. Have a show Sunday scheduled with BKFC middleweight champion David Mendel. So we should always have the fun content here on the channel.
All right, let's go real quickly, rapid fire. Marvin, go ahead.
Yeah, you can catch me, Marvin Powell III. Marvin on the mic is my social media handles. You can catch me here with the South Florida Tribune, typically on Tuesday evenings, Wednesday mornings, Wednesday evenings, and Saturday morning. You can also catch me with the Kings, Broncos, Nets roundtable. You can catch me on Locked On twice a week as well.
All right, Tommy, real quick, Shanahan report.
TomShanahan.report. Twitter handle is Shanny4055.
All right, Mel, real quick, Candy, we'll close out the show.
All the social media at Melfar Jr. Follow what we have going on for the youth here in Georgia and in Michigan at melfarsuperstarfoundation.org.
All right, Candy, finish it.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott the Motor City Madmouth. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see the red subscribe button, click it, like us, share us, turn on your notifications. And last but not least, everybody have a wonderful holiday season. We will be back next week.
Yeah, we'll be back next Tuesday night, same time, same place. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great night. Goodbye now.